So we didn't see Ja Morant traded, we didn't see Giannis traded, and there was a lot of overhyping by one man in particular. But the NBA trade deadline was still one of the most randomest trade deadlines in NBA history. We saw guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Utah Jazz. We saw Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards. And so in today's video, we'll do what every single NBA YouTuber does, which is grading NBA trades that happened at the trade deadline. And for teams like the Denver Nuggets and fans of the Denver Nuggets, I'm sorry, we won't be grading Hunter Tyson and a second round pick for another second round pick. And even though I did take a screenshot of it, I'm sorry, that just doesn't deserve a grade because it's Hunter Tyson. Okay, so with all that being said, the first trade that we got in chronological order happened on Saturday, well before the trade deadline, and that was the Cleveland Cavaliers trading DeAndre Hunter to the Sacramento Kings for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. So this wasn't very random because we knew that DeAndre Hunter was going to get traded from the Cleveland Cavaliers. We knew that they were shopping him. He wasn't giving them what they wanted. To get back Dennis Schroeder, who's been on like 17 different teams, and Keon Ellis is a pretty good return, I would say. They both played yesterday against the Clippers, which is quite ironic considering the James Harden trade that we'll talk about later. They both played decently well, I would say. They didn't have great games, but they're good bench pieces that I think will really help the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'll give the Cavaliers an A for this trade. As for the Sacramento Kings, you traded a guy in Keon Ellis that could probably get you a little bit more on the market than DeAndre Hunter and was beloved by Sacramento Kings fans. So trading him for what you got back in return in DeAndre Hunter, I think, isn't the best of returns. And Dennis Schroeder obviously can help a lot of different teams. So I would give them probably a B for this trade. I love how the Cavs set this up perfectly for getting James Harden because they literally made Darius Garland expendable. They got two guys in Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis who can play in the backcourt, and so obviously they didn't need Darius Garland anymore, and sure enough, they traded him for James Harden. So let's talk about and grade the James Harden trade. So Shams had the tweet, the Los Angeles Clippers are trading James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second round pick, prolific swap of the star point guards. Now let's just take a moment to talk about how James Harden literally requests a trade from every single team that he goes to, whether they're playing well and they're 15-3 in their last games. He does not care. He's going to go to the team that he wants to play for. And hats off to him for going to the front office and making sure that his voice is heard and that he can make the decisions, because a lot of star players don't do that. Looking at you, Giannis. Okay, so let's grade it. The Los Angeles Clippers, I think this made them take a step in the right direction towards rebuilding. They're not so much rebuilding yet, but James Harden sort of forced their hands to tank for the rest of the season, even though they don't have their first round pick, which kind of sucks that OKC is going to get that pick. I don't like that they didn't trade Kawhi Leonard after this, because if you're going to trade James Harden, you're going to trade Zubac, then why are you not trading Kawhi Leonard? Why is he just stuck on that team? I do like that they got a 26-year-old point guard in return for James Harden, who, let's see if Darius Garland can resurrect his career on the Clippers and get back to that all-star level that we know he can play at. So for them, I would give them an A. Now for the Cavs, oh man, this is a risky move because we know that James Harden could ask out next season, even if he doesn't like what goes on for the rest of the season, if they don't make the championship, if they don't make the playoffs, because James Harden's playoff streak needs to be alive. But no, the Cleveland Cavaliers will probably make the playoffs. But I do like that they took a win-now move in order to make Donovan Mitchell happy, because obviously Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell core 4 wasn't working, and I did say earlier on in a couple videos ago that they did need to probably break up that core of Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell. So I do like that they bring in James Harden, who can definitely help this team because he's such a floor raiser. It is kind of sucky that you did trade a 26-year-old point guard for a 36-year-old point guard, but I do think that they're trying to go all in right now, and that's always a good thing for a team. So I would give them an A-. The next trade I want to grade, which was so random because I never would have thought that Jaren Jackson Jr. would be on the Utah Jazz of all places. I literally saw the tweet come up on my phone. The Memphis Grizzlies are trading star forward Jaren Jackson Jr. And I was like trying to think about the teams that he would get traded to, and I would have never in my life guessed the Utah Jazz of all places. So the trade was Jaren Jackson Jr., John Conchar, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams Jr. to the Utah Jazz for Walton Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, Georges Niang, and 3 future first-round picks. And I love this trade for the Memphis Grizzlies. You didn't even have to trade Jaren Jackson Jr. right now. To get 3 future first-round picks for him after getting so many first-round picks for Desmond Bane in the offseason trade is amazing. Now, I would have loved this trade even more if you traded Ja Morant at this deadline as well and got back something for him, but apparently they tried and it didn't work out. But to get back this value for Jaren Jackson Jr., to really have a stockpile of first round picks as we saw the OKC Thunder do, that obviously gave them so much success. I love it for the Memphis Grizzlies. So I'm giving it an A, not an A+ because they didn't trade Ja Morant, but still really amazing trade. As for Utah, I do like the move because you're getting a star player and you probably wouldn't even get that player in free agency because it is the Utah Jazz. So I do understand the move. I don't really like the timing of it all because you're not really competing right now, but you're buying in to a player. That's not really the type of thing that rebuilding teams like the Utah Jazz do, but I do understand that at some point you do have to buy in, so maybe this is their first step towards being a competing team. And I do like the fit next to Walker Kessler in Utah, so I will give them a B+ just because I don't really understand all of the thought process behind the timing, but I do like the move. Well, next, let's talk about the move that was very similar to the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade, but was also very random, which was the Dallas Mavericks trading Anthony Davis for AJ Johnson, Chris Middleton, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, 2 first-round picks, and 3 second-rounders. For the Dallas Mavericks, I'm a little bit hesitant on giving them a good grade for this because of everything that has happened before this, because you basically traded Luka Doncic for Marvin Bagley III. Let me say that again. You basically traded Luka Doncic for Marvin Bagley III and Chris Middleton. So for them, I don't like it at all, especially because the 2 first-round picks that they got are probably not going to be super valuable, and they got 3 second-round picks for a guy, Anthony Davis, that I know he hasn't been healthy, but he's a top 10 player in the league when he does play. I'm a little bit confused on if they couldn't get a better return for him, especially from contending teams that might not be good in the future, like the Warriors, for example, who would have those post-Steph picks. Now, I don't know who was interested or not, but for the Dallas Mavericks, I would give this a B. Now for the Washington Wizards, I really love what they're doing because unlike the Utah Jazz, they're a little bit more in that trying to compete mode for next season because they already traded for Trae Young, which was a great buy low move, and they're buying low on Anthony Davis now by only giving up 2 not very valuable first round picks, and guys like Chris Middleton, who you were going to trade anyways, AJ Johnson, who gets traded at basically every single trade deadline, Malachi Branham, who probably didn't mean too much to you, Marvin Bagley III, who is Marvin Bagley III. So I do really love this trade for Washington. I think they're doing a great job over there trying to set them up for a really competent team in the future. So I will give them an A for this trade. Okay, the next trade I want to talk about, because it's my favorite team and this is my video, is the Golden State Warriors trading Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield to the Atlanta Hawks for Kristaps Porzingis. Okay, well, so let's start off with the Atlanta Hawks before I go on a little rant about my Golden State Warriors. But for Atlanta, I really do like this trade because Jonathan Kuminga is a flyer that you're taking on a young guy that has a lot of potential and a lot of talent, and maybe under Quinn Snyder, who's good at developing young players, he'll become the type of all-star that he wants to become, that people can see the potential in him to become. So I do like taking a flyer on him for Kristaps, who's basically not even available at all. And Buddy Hield, I don't really understand being part of this trade because because maybe you traded Luke Kennard away after this, that you wanted to get another shooter in Buddy Hield. I guess that makes sense, but I'm not sure how much Buddy Hield will play for them, but I do like taking a flyer on Jonathan Kuminga, so I will give them an A- for this trade. Now for the Warriors. I can't say I'm not a little bit disappointed as a Warriors fan because you went from saying that you were going to try to get Giannis and that you were deeply in the mix for Giannis to getting a guy that basically doesn't play at all. And I understand that if you just look at the trade without any of the context around the Warriors and you just look at Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield for Kristaps Porzingis, that's arguably a good trade if Kristaps plays. You're getting a guy that really fits the system in Golden State, someone that they've wanted for a long time. They need a center who can protect the rim, who can shoot from and space the floor alongside Steph Curry. I understand that. But to go from being able to trade Jonathan Kuminga in a Giannis trade, or even for OG Anunoby years ago, for Lauri Markkanen maybe, for guys that could help you in that moment, to trading him for an expiring contract in Kristaps Porzingis is very disappointing. This is all made worse by the fact that Jimmy Butler got injured. If Jimmy Butler didn't get injured, I might be moved by this trade because you would have Steph, Jimmy, Porzingis, Draymond. That's a pretty good core to have to try to make a run in the playoffs, to try to even win a championship, maybe. You really needed another move. You needed a big type move in order to give Steph Curry a chance, to give this team a chance to make a run. And they still are saying that they can make a run, but let's be honest, Kristaps Porzingis does not move the needle. Giannis would have moved the needle. Maybe pivoting to Jaren Jackson Jr., Anthony Davis would have moved the needle. But because you put all of your eggs in the Giannis basket, you missed out on Jaren Jackson Jr., you missed out on Anthony Davis, you missed out on these players that would have been available at least more than Kristaps Porzingis. So because of the front office inability to put a guy next to Steph Curry that can really help him make a run right now this season, they're basically giving up on this season because of Jimmy Butler's injury, I would give this a C. And finally, the last trade I really want to grade in this video is the Clippers trading Zubac to the Pacers for Bennedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, 2 first-round picks, and 1 second-round pick. Like I said earlier, I really like this trade for the Clippers because they're taking that step in the right direction towards trading off their players, towards selling off and getting first-round picks for their good players. And even though they didn't really need to trade Zubac at this moment, they recognize that he's at one of his highest potentials, highest values to get something back. And so I love it for them. I love it for the Pacers as well because they're getting a center that's going to be really good next to Tyrese Halliburton next season. He's the best center they've had since Miles Turner, and they have been targeting him for what seems like forever. So I love it for both teams. I'm going to give both of them an A. And while that's the last trade that I wanted to grade in today's video, I do want to say I really liked what the Chicago Bulls did in selling off all of their players finally in Nikola Vucevic, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu. It feels like they're finally taking the step towards rebuilding, towards not being a mediocre play-in team, unlike the Miami Heat, who didn't do anything at the trade deadline, which sucked. So while we didn't get the major blockbuster trades that we probably were hoping for with Giannis and Ja, I still think that we got a lot of shocking trades that were unexpected that didn't have many leaks before the actual trade deadline, so that part was really enjoyable. But let me know if you agree with the grades that I assigned to the trades that happened at the NBA trade deadline. If there are trades that I didn't talk about that you wanted to offer some insight on, I am willing to respond to comments always. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.